Pixar toys remember past owners. Monsters are facing an energy crisis. And Nemo might not have survived the opening scene. These theories sound impossible until you actually look at the details Pixar left behind. The monster world doesn't run on screams because it's efficient. It runs on screams because it's desperate. Scream quotas keep rising, doors malfunction constantly, and even top scarers struggle to meet demand. This suggests fear was never a sustainable energy source, only a temporary solution that kept the system alive a lot longer. The entire infrastructure is crumbling under the weight of an industry that can't even evolve. When laughter is discovered to be far more powerful, the monsters don't celebrate. They panic. Switching energy sources would collapse their economy, rewrite their history, and expose generations of exploitation. The board meetings, the corporate denial, the resistance to change, it mirrors real-world energy crises where those in power would rather maintain a broken system than admit they built it wrong. Monsters, Inc. isn't about innovation. It's about a civilization refusing to admit its entire system was broken from the start, and the generational damage caused by prioritizing profit over sustainability. Carl's journey isn't about adventure, it's about letting go of life itself. After Ellie's death, Carl cuts himself off from the world entirely, clinging to the house as his last connection to her. When the house lifts into the sky, it mirrors his emotional detachment from reality. He's literally floating away from everything that still exists, choosing memory over presence. And each character he meets represents unfinished business. Russell brings purpose, Doug brings companionship, and letting the house go at the end symbolizes releasing the past. But here's the darker reading. Carl doesn't return home healed. He returns ready to live again, or ready to finally follow Ellie. The film never confirmed which one, and that ambiguity makes the ending far more bittersweet than Pixar wants you to believe. The cars didn't evolve naturally. They inherited a planet left behind by humans. Buildings have doors, stairs, and furniture meant for people. Road signs use human language. Stadiums resemble human sports arenas with no functional reason to exist. Nothing in their world was designed for cars. It was retrofitted after the fact. The theory suggests self-driving AI vehicles were created to replace human beings. But when humanity went extinct, through climate collapse, war, or simply moving to space, the machines kept mimicking the culture they found. They worship NASCAR champions like ancient gods, they maintain buildings they can't use, and they speak a language they inherited but didn't invent. The cars aren't creating new traditions, they're reenacting a civilization they don't understand, living inside the fossilized remains of their creators. Every road is a graveyard, every town is a monument to extinction. Woody isn't just old, he's uniquely old in a way the film deliberately hides. He's got no brand logo, no duplicates, and doesn't appear in any Toy Story merchandise within the film's world. His design places him in the 1950s, decades before Andy was born. Now, compare him to Buzz, who has packaging, commercials, and an entire product line, the whole kit and caboodle. Woody exists in a historical void. Fans believe Woody belonged to Andy's father, who passed away before the events of the first film, and was quietly passed down by Andy's mom. That's why she's so protective of him, why Woody holds a special place of authority among the toys that go beyond being Andy's favorite. And that explains Woody's intense fear of abandonment. He's already survived losing one owner. Andy isn't his first child, he's his second chance. And when Andy finally grows up and leaves for college, Woody isn't just losing a kid, he's reliving the worst moment of his entire existence all over again. Syndrome wasn't born evil. He was made by the hero who rejected him. As a child, Buddy idolized Mr. Incredible, only to be publicly rejected and humiliated by the hero he worshipped. And in that single moment, being called a distraction, being told he wasn't special, defines his entire future. He never forgot. He builds his whole life around it. His obsession with technology, revenge, and leveling the playing field is rooted in that trauma. Syndrome doesn't want to destroy heroes because they're powerful. He wants to prove they never deserved their powers in the first place. If everybody can be super, then the people who rejected him lose their claim to greatness. His villain arc isn't so random. It's the long-term consequence of a hero failing a child who only wanted to belong. Mr. Incredible saved thousands of lives. The one kid he dismissed became the most dangerous person he ever faced. WALL-E wasn't designed to clean Earth, he was designed to outlast it. All other cleanup robots break down within years, but WALL-E survives for centuries, developing curiosity, emotion, and memory far beyond his programming. He collects, he watches musicals, he builds relationships with a cockroach? That's not a malfunction, that there is evolution. Some fans believe WALL-E evolved into humanity's final safeguard, not to restore the planet, but to preserve its memory. While humans drifted into outer space, forgetting where they came from, WALL-E stayed behind cataloging their civilization. He wasn't cleaning, he was archiving. He wasn't sent to save Earth, he stayed behind to remember it, waiting until someone came back who could do what humans no longer could: care about the planet they abandoned. According to this theory, Nemo dies in the opening scene, and everything after is Marlin's grief-driven delusion. Everything that follows is Marlin's fantasy, where his son survives and the ocean becomes a place of hope instead of unrelenting trauma. The vibrant colors, the talking fish, the helpful strangers. None of it reflects the brutal reality of the ocean shown in the first 5 minutes. Marlin's anxiety, hallucination-like encounters with absurd characters, and the extreme overprotectiveness reflect unresolved loss. Nemo's lucky fin becomes a symbolic explanation for why his son feels distant, fragile, and incomplete. Well, because he is. He's a memory Marlin is trying to desperately keep alive. Marlin isn't on a rescue mission. He's trying to survive unimaginable grief by creating a story where he gets a second chance, where he becomes the father he never got to be. Remy doesn't guide Linguini, he absolutely controls him. And the film treats it like a feel-good partnership. And without Remy, Linguini can't cook, he can't think clearly, or even function as a person. The hair pulling is framed as symbolic communication. But look closely, Linguini's body moves against his will. He stumbles, flails, and has absolutely no conscious control over his actions. The film frames their relationship as teamwork, but the imbalance of power is undeniable. Remy gains fame, recognition, and influence, while Linguini loses autonomy, credit, and eventually his relationship. By the end, Linguini's barely a character. He's a vessel. Ratatouille disguises a parasitic relationship as cooperation, where one mind thrives by quietly hijacking another. It's not mentorship, it's possession with a Michelin star. The toys don't freeze because humans are watching. They freeze because they're afraid of being caught breaking the one rule that keeps them safe. They show full awareness of danger and trauma, yet instantly shut down around humans, not out of playfulness, but out of survival instinct. They know what happens if they're discovered. They're thrown away, destroyed, or studied. The freeze isn't a game, it's a defense mechanism. Some fans believe toys can sense loss before it even happens. When a child's sick, growing up too fast, or near death, toys become unusually protective. They cling harder, they stay closer, they refuse to let go. Woody's fear of replacement isn't jealousy, it's panic rooted in the permanence of loss. He sees what happens when an owner never comes back. He knows toys don't get closure, they just get left behind. And the fear of that happening again drives every decision he makes. Now, screams aren't powerful because they're loud. They're powerful because they're traumatic. And the monsters know this. Monsters target children at night, during isolation and vulnerability, maximizing emotional output. The system is industrialized. Training programs, performance rankings, scream quotas. Children aren't random victims. They're renewable emotional resources being harvested on an industrial scale. Laughter threatens the entire structure because it produces energy without inflicting damage. That's why the company resists it. Not because it's inefficient, but because accepting it means admitting their civilization was built on the systemic traumatization of children. Monsters, Inc. isn't about finding a better fuel source. It's about realizing their world was built on trauma and deciding whether or not to keep exploiting it or face the consequences of change.